So hi everyone, thank you for joining, and it's our last mental health presentation from me this year, and I feel like it's a really good time to talk about body kindness and setting attainable goals. Jeanette hit it on the head. We have the saying mind over matter. Our minds control so much and matter significantly in how we manage our bodies. And um, there's there's a hard truth out there that 80% of women in America are dissatisfied with their body. That's 1 in 5 of us ladies are not happy with our bodies. And a little over a third of men feel the same way about their bodies. More than 50% of America is not satisfied with its current weight. And 80% of 10-year-olds are afraid of being fat. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about fat, but fat is a stigmatized word and should not be used to describe people. It is a type of cell in our body, but it is not a description for people. And we see it. I look so fat today. I feel disgusting. You're so skinny. I wish I had your body. And they're all those types of statements contribute to exacerbating negative body image and lower our self-esteem. Body dissatisfaction comes from a lot of places. Pop culture and social media, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. Parents and doctors making comments about weight and shape, bullying, and we know that weight is one of the number one ways that people are bullied based on their body size. It used to be different, but now body size is the number one thing that kids are bullied for these days. Sex and gender. So women are more prone to body dissatisfaction, and that is tied 100% to the influence of media and the ideals for what is portrayed for women in media. Peers, friends, and work groups that emphasize appearance. The diet culture that values thinness as a goal and fatness as failure. Commenting on somebody's weight loss or weight gain, even though people may appreciate that type of comment, it reinforces the belief that that is how you're tying their values into whether they're moving towards thin or away from it. And the values we hold within our family significantly influence body dissatisfaction. So having a parent or older people in the family who are commenting negatively about others' bodies or their own bodies in particular. One of the best things you can do as a parent is model acceptance of your body. And we'll talk about some specific ways how to do that as I move on. We know that body dissatisfaction, and again, remember, 80% of women are body dissatisfied. That doesn't mean they meet the full criteria for body dysmorphia, but they are not satisfied with their bodies. What is that associated with? Shame and guilt, depression, anxiety, eating disorders, stress, low self-esteem, perfectionism, interpersonal and relationship problems, social isolation, increased alcohol and substance use, loss of sex drive, and over-exercising or avoiding exercising. So in a lot of ways, the body dissatisfaction itself leads to some levels of sabotage, because as we are more stressed or more depressed, we're more likely to engage in unhealthy behaviors that will exacerbate our dissatisfaction with our body rather than feel motivated to take positive steps with our body. So I'd like everyone to just take a minute, and if you have a piece of paper or you're good with math, we're going to go over these 10 questions real quick. And it rates you on how satisfied you are with your own body, coming from Body Kindness book. And the instrument was developed by Dr. Tracy Teikla. And it's a scale from 1 to 5, where 1 is never, 2 is seldom, 3 is sometimes, 4 is often, and 5 is always. So it's the same rating scale for all 10 questions. So if you'll just go ahead and jot down your answers, we'll total them up, and then we're just going to divide by 10 really easy. So the first one is, I respect my body. 1 for never, 2 for seldom, 3 for sometimes, 4 for often, 5 for always. 1 is, I respect my body. 2 is, I feel good about my body. I feel good about my body. 3 is, I feel that my body has at least some good qualities. I feel that my body has at least some good qualities. Again, 1 is never, 2 is seldom, 3 is sometimes, 4 is often, and 5 is always. Number 4, I take a positive attitude towards my body. I take a positive attitude towards my body. 5, I am attentive to my body's needs. Body of my body. I appreciate the different and unique characteristics of my body. Number 8, my behavior reveals my positive attitude towards my body. For example, I hold my head high and smile. Number 8 is my behavior reveals my positive attitude for my body. For example, I hold my head high and smile. Remember, 1 is never, 2 is seldom, 3 is sometimes, 4 is often, and 5 is always. Last 2, number 9, I am comfortable in my body. I am comfortable in my body. And 10, I feel like I am beautiful, even if I am different from media images of attractive people, models, actresses, and actors. Number 10 is I feel like I am beautiful, even if I am different from media images of attractive people. Now, add up your 10 answers. There should be a max score of 50 and a minimum score of 10, and divide it by 10. So just move that decimal point over 1. The closer your score is to 5, the more appreciation you have for your body. I would seriously be amazed if anybody had a 5.0. That's achieving that perfection idea, but I would embrace anybody who does. And so the closer you can get yourself to feeling good about your body, respecting your body, having a positive attitude about your body, and recognizing your beauty, the healthier. Awesome, Jeanette. That's really awesome. I was coming in close to a 4.0 this morning when I took it myself. But we want to move towards the 5 with the respect that we're not going to achieve perfectionism. Perfectionism is one of those things that ends up with negative body image. In terms of body image, it's relevant to consider ethnic and diversity. Actually, I want to go to through the lifespan first. I'm missing a slide here. Sorry, I had one for the lifespan and I'm not finding it. Well, I'll just talk about it because I know what's on the slide, which is in early childhood, we tend to value the heavier weight. Look at that baby fat and pinching the cheeks. And there's a value towards higher body weights. But as we move on into the toddler years, by ages 2 to 3, food companies are already targeting toddlers, and we know that toddlers are responsive and receptive to that marketing. For example, they'll go ask for Burger King or Lucky Charms, and that type of programming is already influencing their behaviors and choices. By age 4, children are comparing themselves to others, but they do tend to be focused more on their clothing and their hairstyles than they are on their body size. However, by the time we get to elementary school, a significant percent of 10-year-olds are afraid of being fat. By the time we get into junior high school, in particular, girls are hyper concerned about body image, comparing themselves unfavorably to others, altering their appearances, more likely to isolate if they don't feel good about their bodies. And as we move towards adulthood, we have a society that values fitness, values lean bodies, and portrays the leanest bodies as the most desirable in our society. And so that pressure to be thin and fit does not go away, but only compounds with the age through the media. And there are some differences in terms of ethnicity and diversity. In Western society, body dissatisfaction, as I mentioned before, 80% of women are dissatisfied. It is a cultural norm. And slim bodies are associated with self-control, success, beauty, youth. In fact, in our media, They did a study in 2011. They took 2 weeks worth of the news and they did an analysis on body shape. And 72% of images portraying individuals who were overweight or obese portrayed them unfavorably. In other words, they may have cut their head off from the photo, focused on their abdomen, had them dressed sloppily, and they were pictured engaging in unhealthy behaviors such as eating malnutritious foods. And they were also less likely to be photographed in professional clothing, in success-oriented pictures, and exercising. So our media perpetuates this, and it is how we consume so much of our lives. In terms of people of color, fat phobia has its roots in racism, and there is a lot of pressure to meet the thin Eurocentric ideal, which further perpetuates stigma and discrimination for people of color as they are continually trying to achieve a Eurocentric standard of living, which isn't healthy for anybody. Those of higher socioeconomic statuses are less likely to be obese. And the truth is that cheap food is the least nutritious type of food, and it is significantly more expensive to buy fresh fruits and vegetables than it is to get a pack of chips and a candy bar. And so for families who are socioeconomically disadvantaged, they are both marketed to and have easier access to malnutritious foods, further perpetuating this cycle. Black women have higher body dissatisfaction, higher body satisfaction and self-esteem than white women. And white people are more likely to have eating disorders than people of color. So we see that the Eurocentric ideals have had the level of pressure on white women first and foremost, but people of color are catching up in this department, unfortunately. In parts of Africa, South Pacific, and Hispanic and Latin countries, larger bodies may be associated with plumpness and virility, sexuality, fertility, and attractiveness. And in those countries, we don't see problems with eating disorder and low self-esteem surrounding a fuller body. In Middle Eastern countries, heavy body or sizes are preferred, and it's associated with attractiveness. An interesting study showed that Iranian women who've immigrated to the US have a significantly higher rate of developing eating disorders after exposure to our media and Western culture. Whereas in Iran, there's very little knowledge about eating disorders. So again, that direct influence of society is huge on the development of body dissatisfaction. In a world versus scarcity of excess, studies find that areas that are less socioeconomically developed, so where there is scarcity, positively evaluate people who are overweight. They also don't perceive themselves as being overweight and are less likely to have a poor body image. So when there is scarcity, having more weight on you is valued, because we are, however, in the United States, we are largely a society of excess. And food is served in excess. There's junk around in excess. And unfortunately, it leads to excessive eating and excessive body weight. And there's a lot more negative body image associated with it. How does social media, sorry, there's a question there. Do you have information on Asians? I can get that, but I don't have it offhand. But my gut is telling me there's more value on thinness, and Asians in general tend to have, in Asia, don't have as much problem with obesity. Again, it is almost all ethnicities in coming to the United States and being influenced within our culture begin to struggle with both weight gain and image, body image ideals portrayed through our media that disfavor heavier bodies. In pop culture and social media, 9 out of 10 adolescent girls feel pressure to be thin from social media. And we see this. The most popular filters on social media are ones that alter our appearance. And down at the bottom part, I say minimally invasive cosmetic surgeries have tripled in the last 20 years. And 42% of surgeons report seeing patients who are seeking to improve their appearance in selfies. Different. People used to bring in photos of famous movie stars that they wanted to look more like, and now they're bringing in photos of their altered selfies that has created an ideal image of themselves. They also show that young girls, before they start on social media, are like their selfies more. And once they're in the social media platforms, they begin to devalue and become uncomfortable and anxious about sharing their selfies without doing some level of touch up to the images to portray them in a more picture perfect way, which so much of social media does. There is a positive correlation between the amount of time girls spend on social media and an increase in eating disorders and poor body image. And I read a study this morning that said children spending 0 time and 5 or more hours were the most problematic. So 0 time was actually associated with problematic view of oneself, but 1 hour was adequate to provide a level of social need and to not be associated with any negative outcomes from viewing social media. But once you get into 5 or more hours, it is definitively negative impact on depression, anxiety, and self-image, and most pervasively with girls. Social media facilitates and encourages comparisons to others based on appearance, how many likes you get, how many swipes you get. There's filters across all of the platforms. We're beginning to look like fairies, bunny rabbits. We have hearts swirling around our face. There's a product called Facetune where you can get your face to, puff up your lips, raise your cheekbones, thin out your jawline. And so all of these things with the touch of a finger now give a more perfectionistic appearance, and what it is doing is diminishing people's well-being and their views of themselves, because it portrays I'm not perfect enough, and if my nose was just a little smaller, or I had more hair, or my jawline was more chiseled, people would like me more. And it is a never-ending cycle to try and get towards perfect. Often the images in our culture are unrealistic, unattainable, over-stylized, and they've been fabricated by art teams, stylists, digital manipulation, and it is really not achievable in real life. And when we set a goal of perfect, we set ourselves up for failure because we cannot achieve that goal. And so setting yourself up to constantly be dissatisfied is a never-ending loop. So what is body kindness? Body kindness is a self-care mindset grounded in the simple belief that being well begins with being good to yourself. Body appreciation is accepting and respecting and having a favorable image of your own body, as well as rejecting unrealistic body images portrayed in the media. Some ways to achieve body kindness and appreciation are through intuitive eating. There's a lot of different food styles out there and a lot of different ways to eat. By intuitively eating, we're paying attention to what our body's saying to us. First and foremost, are we thirsty? Are we hungry? Are we tired? What does our bodies need right now? And then as I'm eating, I give appreciation and satisfaction for my food. I engage with it in all of my senses. I smell it. I look at it. I notice the colors on my plates. I give gratitude to where my food comes from. I savor the flavors in my mouth. I feel it as it moves down my body and into my stomach, and I pay attention to when I'm full. And all of this is encompassed in intuitive eating, because if I pay attention to my body's signals for hunger and thirst, and then I pay attention to my body receiving the fuel it needs, and when the fuel tank is full, I've intuitively ate and respected what my body is telling me. And so often we eat around a clock or convenience. We eat on our feelings, and this is not really intuitive eating. It's part of what contributes to mindless eating and not mindful eating. Being kind to your body means being balanced, getting enough sleep, getting all of the nutrients you need in food, engaging in movement that you enjoy, activities that you enjoy, nurturing your close connections, maintaining a positive mindset. All of these are the foundations of balance. I cannot emphasize enough how important gratitude is. Gratitude for the body you have. We're all given one temple to care for, and this temple gets us through our entire life. And so, while there may be many aspects of your temple that you would choose to renovate over time, it is the body that you have that carries you through your life. And so, being thankful for your heart beating, the breath that you don't pay attention to, the oxygen going through your blood, your brain thinking and knowing your way home every day without really having to think too hard. Be grateful for the many ways your body is functioning and serving you daily. Accept diversity. Recognize that people naturally come in different shapes and sizes, and all bodies are good bodies. I love the how do you get a bikini body? Have a body, wear a bikini. That's it. Be kind. Avoid engaging in body bashing. Give your body a hug. Say kind things to yourself. Engage in self-compassion. Be kind with others about their body. Model compassion. Be stylish. Wear clothes that you feel comfortable in, that make you feel happy. Sorry, I wanted to cover this earlier, but it's just a good graphic of where does body dissatisfaction come from? Where do we get our societal and beauty ideals from? And there's some primary ways. The first is our family. I mentioned before, as a parent, we need to model body acceptance. We need to model health behaviors, going to bed on time, not watching the TV while eating our meals, being active in our lifestyles. After our family comes our friends, and this takes hold in elementary, but really grows to life in middle and high school. And it's why we see kids so challenged in middle school, because peers become a more important form of influence than our family at that point. And media, as I mentioned, starting as early as toddlerhood, we are influenced by the media. So all of these images and messages that we get become internalized in our own script in our head. And if we view ourselves as less than what we have as our ideal viewpoint, it leads to body dissatisfaction, which again, 80% of us as women experience. And this leads to disordered thinking, disordered eating, and dieting, which I prefer to not even use the word. I think food style is a better word. In terms of balancing your body kindness, every time you insult yourself about your body, balance it out with a compliment. And I personally favor the 3-to-1 ratio, but if you're just getting started, 1-for-1 will work. But at the end of the day, we'd really like 3 times the positive than the negative in our life. So if you insult yourself, give yourself a compliment. If you spend too much time in the mirror, hang a towel over it, write love messages and sticky notes on it to yourself. Cover it with gorgeous wrapping paper. If you find something that doesn't fit, donate it and buy yourself something comfortable and flattering. If you receive a compliment, say thank you. Thank you. That's all you have to say. You should not negate the compliment with any other words. Just thank you. Stop it right there. If you compare yourself to others unfavorably, compare yourself 5 more ways favorably. Identify 5 things you're good at. If you make a mistake, forgive yourself and forgive others. If you hide from a camera, take a selfie with someone you love. So all of these are sort of the doing the opposites, and those insulting, hiding from compliments, punishing ourselves, they diminish our self-esteem and exacerbate our body dissatisfaction. Modeling healthy behavior for yourself, your family, and your friends. Monitor your use and your family members' use of the social media and the filters that they use, and have open discussions about the impact they have on mood and esteem. It is not hard. There is no shortage of studies that are pointing us in the direction of the more you use these filters and media channels, the more anxiety, lower self-esteem, and more depression you will experience. Model radical acceptance of your own body and others' bodies. Have a no tolerance policy for weight teasing, and that includes pet names. The word gordo is the word for fat in Spanish, and yet it is an accepted, commonly used word of endearment. I am telling you, it is a negative bias towards weight that is perpetuated in the use of that word. And we often do that. We use these pet names that include sort of a backwards comment on weight, but you should really eliminate them. Don't eliminate or prohibit certain foods. Food isn't good or bad. If you know yourself, you don't have a good relationship with a particular food, you may want to keep it out of your life, but recognizing that a calorie is a unit of measurement, a pound is a unit of measurement, and not pathologizing those things, but learning to live with them in balance is the long-term best way to manage problem things. Engage in regular movement that you enjoy, whatever it is. It could be dancing. It could be yoga, going for walks, but do something to get your body going. And when we have our bodies going, we appreciate all that it does for us even more. In any given moment, ask yourself how you can be taking better care of yourself. What are my needs? Am I hungry, angry, lonely, tired? What is my mind doing? Is it telling me positive things? Unapologetically leave the judgment behind and stand against stigma. If you hear people slandering someone else for their weight, address it. Address it. Be part of the solution. Avoid the weight-related comments about others and yourself. It just reinforces the thin ideal. Ask about and seek help if you have an eating disorder. That can be binge eating. Anything that you're doing in secret is a good sign that it is probably disordered, whether that's eating or purging. If you're secretive about it, it's probably problematic. And last, I want to cover how to set realistic and attainable goals. It starts by encouraging healthy eating and exercising rather than for weight loss, for well-being and health. When appearance is the primary goal, we're setting us up to a never satisfied standard. So have a different goal in mind. Embrace and accept where you are in your well-being journal. If your A1C is a 6.9, maybe you want to set a goal of 6.7 and then 6.5. Develop new, let me just read it. Ideas on getting to eliminate the pet wane. Yes, I know. I would talk about it privately at first. It used to be, my brother married a Guatemalan woman, and it used to be her name for him. And years back, I addressed it as, I just want to just point out that that literally means fat. And it's not, at the end of the day, it's not a nice way to describe someone. And so just shifting it. Can you think of another pet name that would be a good equivalent to substitute in? So I'm gonna pass it back to you, Yvonne, and have you give me some ideas. But I would have a private conversation, and especially it is not usually for the family members who are on the thinner side. It is usually the pet name for somebody on the heavier side. And so just recognizing that, and maybe just having a conversation about it, even in the house, whether it eliminates it in one conversation or not, it brings awareness to it. Thank you. Great question. Use an accountability and reward system. I included a variety of apps. Would anybody be willing to share any other apps? This is MyFitnessPal, Fabulous, Coach Me, Strides, Goals on Track, and Way of Life are the ones that these icons are for. And they are not just for physical activity. They include mental well-being, meditation, getting your sleep on track, getting your money in order, managing your time appropriately, and setting small goals. Health habits are a result of treating yourself in new ways that honor your body rather than punishing it. And when you set your goals, set the short-term goals in order to help you reach the long-term goals. If you want to lose 30 pounds, start by trying to lose 2. We gain momentum, encouragement, and confidence with our small achievements. So shifting from weight loss goals to health, happiness, increased Stamina, energy. If you want to take a walk, start with a 3-minute walk, move to a 5-minute walk. Maybe you set your goal for around the block, and then you go around the larger community. And then maybe your goal is a mile or even further. But start with something small that you know for sure you can do. And it's not even a challenge, because once you say you're going to do it and you follow through, you're more likely to do it the next time. The key to attainable goals is to have them be very specific, measurable and meaningful, attainable, relevant and rewarding, and time-based and trackable. Specific. I am going to walk to the mailbox today. We can measure that. The mailbox is where it is. Did I get there or not? I know I can get there. I didn't pick the mailbox in the next city. I picked the one right up the street. It's relevant. I want to get my body moving, and I can track that. I said today, that was my timeline today. So including those things helps you have the way to check back. And it's why, Jeanette, you mentioned earlier having a therapist, but having a therapist, whatever your goal is, to move your mind and body towards a healthier direction, is just one other person on your team of allies.
Yeah, Dr. Lisa, I just want to make a comment as I'm listening to you. This discussion really resonates with me because of my breast cancer experience in the past year. And I don't know how many of the employees on the call are aware of it, but I have been very public about my diagnosis. But most employees know that I'm a very physical, I compete, I'm in a world and sort of enjoy a hobby that really revolves around being judged aesthetically. And ironically, now I'm sort of learning to adjust to, I have these breasts now that are these clinical sanitized versions of what my old breasts were. And I'm not sure that people really understand unless they've experienced it or been through it with a loved one or someone, that they're close to, that it really does take some getting used to, even for somebody who's very comfortable in her skin. Once my treatment was over and everything was done, I said to my therapist, what do I do with these things now? Nobody's going to be poking them and testing them and prodding them. What do I do? So we came up with some really interesting activities for me to sort of adopt them as part of my body. After you have a bilateral mastectomy, you're left with pretty much nothing. And you have to kind of rebuild from there. And I'm grateful for that, but it really is an adjustment. And so my first step is, I'm going to head over to a swimsuit store and actually buy something that is designed to make them look, pretty, maybe go get fitted for a bra, which is something I haven't done in a very long time. So I have to learn to embrace the new body that I'm in, because it's really quite different, emotionally for me than it was just a year ago. So I think my score would have been higher on that quiz, but there were some questions I struggled with because, now I'm a little uncomfortable. I'm a little insecure because it's just a learning curve for me. So I understand. And, I've never been somebody that's ever struggled with body image issues. And I'm very comfortable sharing this with everyone, because I just want everyone to know that it's not always a weight issue. It could be something very deeply personal like this that I've dealt with. And I really would encourage people to really reach out to someone if you feel like you need some help in working through it, because it's helped me, I think, and got me to a point where I could talk openly, on a Zoom call about it. And it's a deeply personal, situation. But I just want everyone to understand that, you're not alone in going through change and processing, how you look at your bodies, because we're all susceptible to that, that can your bodies can change on a dime. Your appearance can change overnight. I mean, for a number of reasons. So I really appreciate you being able to address some of these concerns. And, yeah, and I just wanted to share that.
Thank you. Thank you. And I agree. It really, it's any aspect of appearance, whether it is that one is aging and fighting the aging process, or losing hair, or has a facial feature that they don't like, or some other aspect of their body. When your well-being is tied to your appearance, you have set yourself up for a losing battle. And we will not, our society values the young, healthiest, most idealistic body, and that is not sustainable or attainable for the vast majority of people for their entire lifespan. And so really embracing that love for yourself at all phases of your wellness. And I too started this journey of wellness at a morbidly obese state in around 300 pounds. And I am regularly committed to my wellness. And although there are still aspects of my physical appearance that I strive to alter, I try and keep a healthy mindset about doing it, and a well balanced appreciation for the progress I've made and what my body is doing for me on a daily basis. And in doing that, I recognize where I still have to go. And I just, like I said, I keep it manageable and achievable. And when you do that, it's motivating to stay on the process and stay engaged. And I didn't mention this, but having other people involved with you in your wellness plan, whether that's going for walks with you, going to bed on time, eliminating gossip, stopping stigma talk, or changing your food style. My food style this year is being vegan. Whatever it is, having partners and social support only adds to your success. I've included a lot of resources, and Jeanette, if you will send the deck to everyone, I'd be happy for them to have it.
Yeah, I'm getting some comments about that now. And, I just wanted to also comment that, don't take for granted the current state that you're in, because my world changed overnight. And Dr. Lisa mentioned, earlier about how social media sort of shapes how we view ourselves. And I don't know how I would have reacted had I been born in it during a different time. I was raised at a time where we didn't have social media and we didn't have the internet, and so I really think that maybe that was a good thing, and it worked in my favor, because once I lost my breasts and my hair was gone and my eyelashes fell out and all my fingernails were gone from chemo, you look in the mirror and you're like, wow, I guess I'm really not defined by these physical attributes. And I think had I had a different view based on social media, I might not have been in a mental state to, adequately deal with that transition, because it is a big transition, so I think being mentally prepared for crisis, or having resources available, and not being afraid to ask for help, is critical. There's nothing to be embarrassed about. Obviously, that's why I share my story, because I think the more people that know, the better. And it makes you stronger when you are vulnerable to other people, because, despite all the filters and social media hype, people really appreciate authenticity. They pay
Yes.
attention when they're like, whoa, I can't believe Jeanette just shared this story with all the photos and everything else. It's a step in a direction that reminds us how important it is to be honest with yourself. At the end of the day, that's really critical, at least for me. So again, my door is always open to everybody. They know that. I've worked with many breast cancer patients, have come forward to me, with their stories when they learn about mine. And, my journey is successful because of people like Dr. Lisa, who've really dedicated their time and effort into really helping people. That's what they're there for. I would encourage people to take advantage of those resources. She is also available for private consultations, by the way, but you would need to reach out to her privately for that. Happy to provide you with her contact information. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of, share that as well. And I can't say how grateful we are, to have you just constantly reinforce such relevant and important information, for us to live optimally. And I really think it's made a difference for me. So again, thank you so much for everything that you're doing.
Thank you, everyone. I hope you all set SMART goals as we're moving into the new year and leaving some of the stress of 2020 behind.
Absolutely.
I'll see you all in January.
Yes, you will. Thank you so much, Dr. Lisa. Anybody interested in this PowerPoint, please reach out to me offline and I will get it to you. It will be posted on the Bank United intranet site as well. And again, Lisa, have a wonderful holiday. And, I look forward to catching up with you next year.
Thank you so much. Take care, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.